Please welcome Minister Hatta Rajasa.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Peace be upon us. President of Asia Society, Ms. Hatta Rajasa, Ambassador Dino Patijalal, Ambassador Hatta Rajasa, Ms. Melody Meyer, President of Saffron, Asia Pacific, David Merrill, President of Isindo, Pak Sehat dan Ibu Weli Sutarja, members of the Diplomatic Corps, friends of Indonesia, ladies and gentlemen. Ibu Desai, thank you so much for that very kind introductions. You almost made me blush with those generous words. Let me begin by conveying warm greetings of President SBY to Asia Society, to Isindo, and all our good friends in America. The President reaffirms his commitment to advance the comprehensive partnership between Indonesia and United States. Also, let us give a big hand to Ms. Hatta Rajasa and all our friends in the rooms who have worked so hard to make tonight's event possible. I know tonight's gala dinner took a lot of planning and hard work, and I wish to thank you from the bottom of my heart for this wonderful evening. Let me also express my genuine appreciation to the Asian Society for their outstanding work in promoting Asia in America and worldwide. Asia Society has been a sterling champion of efforts to build bridges of understanding between Asia and America. As we anticipate what is called the Asia Pacific Century, we count on the continued good work of ASEAN Society. We in Indonesia commend you for your leadership, for your friendship, and for your vision. When our Ambassador Dino Patijalal alerted me a few months ago that Asia Society was about to confer upon me this public policy award, I actually had mixed feelings of gratitude, but also a bit of consternation. Gratitude, of course, because Asia Society is such a prestigious international organization, but consternation because ever since I crossed over from the corporate world to public service, I have always tried to be low profile and trying to over-deliver. I did not join politics and the government for glory or spotlight. I joined because I believe I could make a difference in the new Indonesia with all its fascinating possibilities. I wanted to focus on the work without expecting any reward, to give my best and let the Indonesian people and history be the judge of my service. And I have found that generally the lower the profile, the brighter the environment in which I work, the more productive usually I became. I know that in democracy, A little quiet politics is usually wishful thinking, but I have been somewhat fortunate in that regard. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I am so proud of what Indonesia has become today. Really. Those of you who are sitting at the back see a small platinum blonde man standing here on the podium. I assure you that what you see from that distance is not blonde hair, but white hair that reveals how long I have been around. By the way, my friend have asked me to color my hair black to make me look younger on the political stage. But my wife has advised me that my white hair is a personal trademark that makes me stand out. In other words, it is much easier for her to spot my white hair in the parking lot. Anyways, my white hair is a proof that I have been fortunate to experience all the three major eras in Indonesia: the Sukarno era, the Suharto era, and now the era of reform and democracy. Each of these eras had its own unique characteristics and contribution to Indonesian history. I honestly believe that this present era will be remembered as Indonesia's transformational decade. This is an era when we reach new heights to become a vibrant democracy, an emerging economy, a regional power, and a global player. It is an era when we started to get things right more often than to get them wrong. And this transformational decade vindicates my decision to treat a good life in the private sector for a sleepless and often stressful life in politics. My calling to public affairs took place in the late 1990s during the momentous political transition that would end the Suharto era. This is when I decided to form the Partai Amanat Nasional, the National Mandate Party, with Dr. Amin Rais. I believe that what Indonesia sorely needed was a new party with new faces, with no string to the past, and with total commitment to democracy and reforms. We were not naive. We knew that despite the euphoria, building a functional democracy would require the hard work of competent, dedicated politicians. I also knew that the transition to democracy would be full of bumps and roadblocks, even turbulence. But I also strongly believe that after the storm, once democracy settles into normal mode, it would bring peace, stability, and progress to our people. One main reason why I believe in the prospect of Indonesia's transition was the strength of our civil society. When we had the economic and political crisis in 1998, the civil society was already flourishing. Mass organization, informal leaders, religious organizations, NGOs, political activities, all of them stood ready to take on the political baton. Many assumed position in parliament and in government. Civil society became the oxygen of our reforms. I know this because I was part of it. It is the solid civil society that is somewhat lacking in the Arab Spring countries. The ability of civil societies in these countries to grow in parallel with their electoral effort would be critical to quality and durability their transition. As for Indonesia, one reason why democracy has become irreversible is precisely because the political system and civil society have each become durable and both become synergized. When I was elected into Parliament in 1999 and then joined the government of President Megawati and President Yudhoyono, I committed myself to several principles. The first is that the moment I enter public service, I would have to completely leave behind personal and commercial interests. This may sound trite to you, but in the context of Indonesia back then, it was hugely important. After all, Indonesia's decay occurred because so many of our officials, when pursuing economic projects, had become accustomed to asking, "What's in it for me?" As a result, despite high economic growth, we had a society crippled by corruption, collusion, and nepotism. Famously known as KKN, this I was determined would have to end, and I wanted to be an example of this. The second was the principle that the main purpose of politics was to deliver public good for the people. Politics may be noisy, but its principal motive is not to make noise, but to improve the living standard of those who trusted you with their food. This means it was a basic necessity for me to work with others to change the country, because Indonesia was simply too big, too complex, and too hard to be changed by a few egocentric elite. The most important task for politicians is to find solutions to people's problems and to improve their life. The worst politicians are those without ideas, without ideals, and without results. In pursuing public good, I never felt that I had monopoly in the truth. I believe truth can be found anywhere, even in the opposition. I believe that others do one good thing for the country, except that they have different ideas on how to do it. This ability to work with others proves to be a critical in my political career, and more importantly, in our ability to achieve progress despite challenging internal and external conditions. The third was the need to change the corporate culture of the government. During the crisis in the late 1990s, the government was part of the problem. Many people had lost trust in the leadership and in public institutions. I believe then, as I believe now, that there can be no healthy democracy with weak, incompetent government. Reforming the government was to be job number one, because, after all, it is the bureaucracy that wants to implement the government policies. In every department that I led, I constantly had to struggle with resistant bureaucracy and sometimes outdated regulations. Many times I had to wrestle with policies and regulations that at first glance look at all right, but upon second or third inspection turn out to serve the vested interests of some and inconsistent with the interests of reforms. Of course, changing or reversing policies was not easy. It required tact and courage, but this is what good leadership is all about. Leaders must lead, and leaders are in the business of finding solutions to problems, not finding problem in solution. And in time of crisis, leaders who can produce a new corporate culture in the institution under them are likely to succeed. This is true for government, for business, for society. This is why I believe that leaders must not be merely structural leaders. They must thought leaders and intellectual leaders. People who see the present and the future with better clarity and better foresight than the rest. Alhamdulillah, in all my years in politics and government, I have tried to be faithful to this principle. My greatest joy is seeing Indonesia reach new height in recent years, politically, economically, and diplomatically, and be part of it. Bill Gates in Cannes called Indonesia one of the world's economic miracles. And of course, I did not argue with him. CT projected that Indonesia would be the fourth largest economy by 2040, while Goldman Sachs predicted that Indonesia would be the fifth largest by 2030. Asian Development Bank recently projected that Indonesia will be among the Asia's the seven economies that would comprise 90% of the Asian economy by 2050. Perhaps this is why the economists call Indonesia a success story. The worst thing we can do now is to take things for granted. The future is never preordained. It must earn every step of the way. What we desperately need to do as we move forward is to ensure that Indonesia maintains our basic core identity. The more we change, the more we must value our multiculturalism, our unity in diversity, our freedom of religion, our pluralism, and our tolerance and harmony. These are things that define Indonesia's soul. Without them, we would cease to be Indonesia. It is also important for the Indonesian new and next generation to value the importance of service and idealism. In Indonesia, we are experiencing a high turnover of political leaders. In the last election, 70% of parliamentarians were replaced. The political landscape has changed and it continues to change rapidly. The public is becoming less patient and constantly demand accountability. In this, it is critical for young people to join politics and government for the right reason. That is, to strictly serve the public good and the national interest. They must also maintain the most precious quality, idealism. In all my years, this is idealism that I have tried to keep it at all costs. The belief that Indonesia can be better and must be better, and that there is a greater cause larger than life. I have every conviction that Indonesia's best days are still ahead of us. It is not because of the upward projection and the positive statistic Although these, of course, are important, it is because in the past decade or so, Indonesia has truly become a different nation. One thing that we have got going now is a sense of optimism and confidence in our identity, in our assets, in our people, in our prospect. It is important for Indonesia to nurture this can-do spirit and to push back on the cynicism and fatalism that are still found in our society. Thus, I accept this award as a reminder in the power of public service to deliver positive change for Indonesia, and also as a token of the good will that our international friends have for Indonesia. To Asia society and to all our friends, thank you for believing in us. And I hope that my grandchildren and grandchildren see this award something in some dusty basement. They will know that their grandfather dedicated his life to deliver progress for Indonesia. And I hope they know that we build it brick by brick with sweat and tears and with love. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me therefore to end with a personal note to my family. For my wife, Oka, who is here today, I owe you a mountain of gratitude. Your love and support has brought me where I am today. You have been by my side through the world's storms, and when the sun is shining bright, I am nothing without you. And I thank God every day. And I thank God every day for our blessed marriage. For my children, Reza, Nini, Alia, Azima, and Rashid, you are the joy of my life. You are my pride, my pain, my ulcer. And you are my oxygen. If anything sustains me all these years, it is the thought that I owe you to live in a better country. A country that is peaceful, free, and full of opportunities for my children and all God's children. Everything we do for you. And the best way to repay me is for you to grow up, to be kind, decent, productive person that your family and your country can be proud of. That your family and country can be proud of. Once again, thank you so much, and God bless you. Wassalamualaikum.